Kudos to the script writers. Kudos to Alan Tudyk. I mean, we all know it's CGI, but Alan Tudyk's, you can see his inflections in K2.
Voice perfectly.
Absolutely. Perfectly. And I think if I'm going to reference another movie, and I'm going to say Solo, the droid in Solo is kind of the same personality-wise as K2.
Yeah, but I think that has to do with, now that Disney took it over, they're kind of moving certain things around and making the droids more human,
I can see that.
And I think that's a good thing, personally. So a couple other things I'd like to talk about with the characters, I just want to go into real quick. You had the other main characters. You had Bodhi Rook, who was the pilot who turned. You had Sam Guevara, who was Saw Guevara, sorry, who he reminds me of the character in Episode 1, Season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise, when they go into the mines, because he has that stupid breathing thing he has to keep grabbing. Yeah. So he's like the guy who runs the mines for some reason. The way he has to do that just...
yeah, I don't know where they came up with that, but, Forrest Whitaker has had a hell of a movie career, and it's just popped off within recent. I mean, what a wonderful actor, and, somebody who you don't think was pivotal in this movie was somewhat pivotal. Not only the fact that he raised Jyn,
correct, and left her at 16.
But just the fact that he's got ties to Jin's father, and how it all spins together, and how he gets involved. A lot of people might turn around and go, "What's he here for? He's just a throwaway." Not really much a throwaway, no.
No, I agree. We did see C-3PO and R2-D2 for a split second in there.
Yes.
And then we had the whole Alliance meeting, which that whole scene reminds me of the one in Episode 7, I think, where Leia has them all around the table talking.
Was that Empire Strikes Back?
No, wait. No, 7 is The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay. The new... Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Yeah. Because it just reminded, like, they were in a base, they were all kind of around a table, like, it reminded me very much of that scene. I don't know if that was the intention or not, but it just did.
Yeah, I got some deep thoughts into these characters too.
So I mean, we kind of jumped all over the place, given the plot summary of this, but really, we find out that in the beginning, Jyn runs away. Her mother is murdered by this guy who comes with a bunch of stormtroopers. He's trying to bring Jin's father, who is Galen Erso, back because he was a scientist. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He's lying and saying he can't remember even simple things. At some point, when his daughter is gone and his wife is dead, he realizes they're going to build this whether I help them or not. So he starts, and he says, I did the one thing they didn't expect. I lied.
Right.
And he lies and just helps them build it. And you know what? This is a part that's very much overlooked. Not only do they explain in this movie how the plans get to the rebels, they explain why one shot worked.
Indeed, they did.
This has been a debate. Forever.
Yes, it has.
Is an exhaust vent supposed to do that? Is the architect an idiot? No. The architect purposely screwed it up so they could blow it up.
Yeah.
It was intentional.
You're absolutely right. And now you're bringing me back to my childhood days. Like, how could one shot into a chasm blow up a planet killer?
And why would that tube be straight?
Exactly.
Because it was intentional. Because he wanted this to fail.
Yeah.
We pick up with Cassian, like I said, murdering the guy, and then all that nonsense, the stuff we talked about with him and Jyn, and the battles that pursue from there, the fights on the planets, the fights in the sky. I mean, unbelievable camera work. One of the things I love about the Disney version of the Star Wars movies is they are filmed in the same sort of way that the original trilogy was filmed. When they came out with episodes 1, 2, and 3, one of the biggest knocks is they look very different. They look brighter, cleaner, nicer. I mean, I get the time is supposed to be a little bit better, right? Because it's before the Empire. But like they didn't look like Star Wars movies. Now, when you watch these movies, you still see the stupid scene where I never thought I'd love them, but I love them. They're stupid. Where the ship flies off planet, and it shows like one guy in a tower watching it. Like that was something that happened in the original movies that didn't happen in episodes 1 through 3 that now again happen in all the Disney ones.
It's almost like you're in my head because because that's another thing I have written down, because when they're in Yavin, the rebel base, and they shoot off, it's almost like the clip you see of the soldier is 77, but you see that the ship was CGI'd in. And it's the same movement from the trooper. It's the same movement as he looks towards the moon, and you just follow the raider where it goes.
Right. It's I love it because I love the color palettes they use for the sets and everything. It all feels like 77 again.
Yes, I agree.
Where episodes 1 through 3 did not feel like that.
No, episodes 1, 2, and 3 were, I guess, like you said, a different time. So a lot cleaner, a lot more detailed to a point. But because I can't help but think, and this is going to go on my final thoughts, but I'll start with this. I can't help but think the time it took to tie in every little piece into this movie to go into 77. There are nuances in this movie that tie into 77 that you can, if you haven't seen 77, spoiler, it came out 40 years ago. But if you haven't seen it, or you're not a fan of it, or you just watch, or you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. Watch the movie and watch the nuances, and you'll see the tie-ins that I'll talk about at the end. It's just absolutely fantastic that this is a fan film. It's almost a fan film to me.
Yeah, I would agree that seems logical, that thought process that this would be a fan film. Because you're right. And right up until the last line of the movie, they're tying into 77. In fact, so now we're moving forward in this plot line real quick. We have all the fight scenes, whatever. We get to the Citadel. They're trying to get the file, and they're trying to find out which file it is. And it turns out, surprise, he named it after his daughter. So she knows that's the right file, and she grabs it. Is that the worst file system you've ever seen in your life?
That reminds me of the old computers way back when, like Whopper from War Games, where they have
no, I know, but it's like a 60-story tower of files with one window.
And
you have to grab it by hand.
It's the claw game.
How would you possibly do that if it wasn't miraculously only 5 feet above you?
It's the claw game. That's what it is. It's a vertical claw game.
It was terrible. And then, of course, because the Imperial Guard, whatever, the Imperial forces love putting random doors in places they don't belong. We have this scene where they're climbing the tower, and the door just opens up. Like, where was that door 10 minutes ago? Why couldn't I just go that way?
Yeah, where was the path to it? It's again, it's.
And at no point does Cassian think, let me just climb to the back side of this and they can stop shooting at me.
It's almost like they sat there and went, is there a back entrance to this place? Hold on, there's got to be a better way to go up.
Yeah.
But would they Luke and Leia swing? Could they Luke and Leia swing to the So you mean to tell me you guys thought of 2 doors and a bridge section but forgot the bridge? It was overlooked. See, what happened was something else went down. So...
They fired the head
constructor guy because it wasn't spec to OSHA regulations. So they had to take that off and work on something else, and they just left that because who would think, hey, no one's going to steal the plans. No one's going to... But wait a minute, aren't people going to put the cassettes in there? How are they going to do that? Let's just do it this way and not, work harder, not smarter.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But the point is, it leads to him being shot and falling and dying, supposedly. Right. She climbs all the way up to the beacon. Of course, she's got to, because again, this is a Star Wars trope. It tells her the disc is the radio disc is not aligned properly. Okay, so instead of fixing it at the computer terminal she's at, she has to walk out on this bridge 40 yards to a control panel to reset it, to be shot at, to have the main bad guy who is supposed to be taking over the Death Star friggin' come and try and shoot her, and magically Cassian saves her life.
Oh.
Their death was sad too.
I was happy, I was sad, I was happy, I was sad as all get out, and oh man, I just reminded myself they never got out. No,
no one gets out. Everyone
goes.
I mean, this is like horrifying, but we see Donnie Yen walking, yes. Right? And he's chanting his line. He flips the switch. Then he gets shot. Yes. Then Blaze Malbus, that's the gunner, he runs out to get him because they're best friends. And as he's fighting back, he's now believing in the Force. Yeah. And he's chanting it. And boy, was that a mistake because he gets shot to pieces and blown up from a grenade. And then they shoot. This was interesting that I've never known before this movie. The Death Star can be tuned to destroy cities or entire planets.
Yes, well, we've only known it to be a planet killer.
Right. Yeah. And this time it was able to blow up just a city. And then, so they blow up they decide, they knock down the shields. There's no more shields around the planet. And that battle, that fight scene with in space was unbelievable. And how they pushed, one ship pushes a dead Star Destroyer into another Star Destroyer through the shield matrix. And everything blows up, and all the shields are gone. And but so now they decide, well, that city's gone. Let's blow it up, and they use the Death Star to blow it up. So everyone on the planet dies. So basically, everyone in the movie dies. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this is great, but I thought this was going to tell me how it gets to Leia.
Yeah,
and it didn't. I was wrong. I thought 1 second too soon. Now we see them running from Darth Vader. And that was such an awesome scene where you just saw kind of the silhouette of him, and then the red lightsaber comes up, man. And they all start shooting. And you're like, oh, this is it. So he hands off the disc. The guy goes running. The next room of people all get killed. But then the ship pulls off and flies away. And Darth Vader's left like on the outside of that Star Destroyer, just kind of looking into space. And the very last scene, we see it handed to Leia. She turns around. It's 19-year-old Princess Leia all over again. And she's asked, what does this mean for the Alliance or for the Rebels? I don't remember exactly which word they used. Yeah. And she gives a one-word perfect answer that leads directly into 77. And that answer is hope. And
that word hope is spoken way too often throughout the movie.
Yeah, it is.
It's way too often that it's thrown out there. It's subtle. But if you didn't know that Star Wars, spoiler alert, Star Wars 77 is known as A New Hope. But it's an interesting way that they use the word hope because the rebels believe in hope. Okay, correct. So with that being said, this is a new hope. This is the rebels' new hope, which that's 77. But absolutely fantastic. I loved the movie from start to finish. I love the fact that they remade Darth Vader to Darth Vader 77, that they didn't upgrade him in any way. They left everything original, quote unquote.
Actually, in 77, is his glasses red?
I read that.
I don't ever remember that being that way.
I read that. And they said they wanted to keep it original. So they wanted to.
I always thought they were blacked out like smoked lenses.
I thought of that too, but I thought they wanted to be original and they won't